welcome to the very first episode of REDofNEXpets. Today, on the very first episode, I will be talking about Yorkshire Terriers. Like Buttons here. What do you think, Buttons? Is that a good idea?
No!
Oh. Well, you're negative. Alright. Now, the real hyperactive dogs, as you can see, she can't sit still for more than a minute. She lost one of her balls under the couch, and she's been trying to get it. No, I'm not getting it for you. Alright, so they're a small toy breed of terrier from the 19th century from Yorkshire, England. Oh, it's in the name, Yorkie, Yorkshire. Now, they're bred for catching rats, as where they get the name rat dogs, or rats and mice and such. But, yeah, they get a bad, or people think rat dogs, and I think it's because, well, come here, you turd. Yeah. I'm trying to show you. You've seen little dogs, they get that little rat-like face, and people think that's where they get it from because they're small, and they cause problems. Come here. Come here. Anyways. Now they're pretty good watchdogs. Stop it. Because they'll bark at just about every noise they hear at night. Now you can break the habit if you catch it early. You can get it later, but it's easier to do it when it's much earlier. Like Buttons here likes to bark at other dogs, and when someone makes a noise downstairs or outside, she alerts everyone. That's a dog's job. That's their instinct, is to let the rest of the pack know there's something going on. Now, with being really excitable, they tend to try and pick fights with larger dogs. I don't know why they do this. Perhaps it's some sort of ego complex about how they're so small. But a lot of Yorkies, and a lot of small dogs really, tend to have a habit of trying to pick fights with bigger dogs and trying to play with them. And if you can, that's another habit that a lot of little dogs have. That you can, if you catch it early on, it's really easy to solve, and all you really have to do to prevent that is to socialize them, bring them to the dog park, and take them for walks, and introduce them to all sorts of breeds, different types of people. That way they get to know, and they know it's okay. They don't have to be scared or assert their dominance. Now, according to some things I've read online, they can be pretty hard to housebreak. Like most dogs that I've noticed, every dog I've owned, if it's raining outside, they're not going to go outside. They will wait until hell freezes over before they go outside. Yorkies especially, like a lot of people actually have a covered yard so their dog will go outside, or a lot of them use litter boxes. You can, if you take the time and really do it, they'll go outside. And you don't need to do all that fancy stuff. Like Buttons here. Gotcha. Buttons here does it, no problem. She lets us know. She's pretty well housebroken. She learned that herself, actually. Right? Yeah. Now, Buttons, as you can see. Now, a lot of Yorkies have their tails stalked, and that's purely aesthetic. That's just to make them pretty, and dog shows require it for whatever reason. A lot of them, anyways, I've been reading. The American Kennel Club does. Now, what they do to do dogs' tails, they get them when they're real young, in the first few hours, first day or so, and they take a little rubber thing and they put it around around their tail, and then the tail, after a few days, falls off. That's messed up! Don't do that. Just don't. It's not worth it. Really, there's no medical concerns other than maybe the dog will get its tail caught in a door or something. Well, it happens to all breeds of dogs. Just gotta be careful, right? If you're gonna own a little toy dog, you gotta be careful. But people do it just sheerly for beauty, and people piss me off sometimes, you know? Right, Buttons? Come here. Or another thing they do if they're too old, or they're older, because it'll hurt the dog if they're older apparently, but I'm pretty sure it hurts the dog when they're a puppy too. And what they do is they have a vet surgically remove it. Thankfully, in Canada, it's illegal to dock tails. It's also illegal to doctor the ears like in Dobermans, but we're not talking about Dobermans, we're talking about Yorkies. I'm getting off track here. The subject makes me mad, and I just want to rant. Now, they can be pretty, like a lot of dogs, they can be pretty possessive over food and toys. So, what I've read, it's a pretty common trait between Yorkies. But I mean, what I did of all of my dogs, they were larger dogs, aside from Duke, who was a spaniel. You can get near their food and their toys so they get comfortable. This is what I've done. I don't know if it's the right way to go about it, but Duke was pretty possessive over food when I got him, because he's a little piggy. Here's the picture of him. Anyways, what I did is I got near the food and I would pet him when he was eating, and eventually he just got used to it. That way, if kids came over, they wouldn't get bit. I mean, I know he's not a Yorkie, but I assume the process would work. But as long as you catch it early and like play with the food when they're young, and just lots of interaction, that way they won't develop any behavioral issues. It's not the dog's fault ever, it's just how you train them. Like, there's no such thing as a bad dog. Right, Buttons? Don't ignore me. Anyways, like I said, they do bark, but it makes them good watchdogs because they're very attentive of what's going around. I mean, they're small, tiny, they're basically a prey animal. I mean, yes, they're bred for eating rats, but look at them, they're tiny. They're just cute little things that could get eaten by an owl or something. Right, Buttons? No kisses. No kisses, sicko. But otherwise, they don't make a whole lot of noise being so tiny. I mean, they're not thumping around like, oh, are you okay? They're not thumping around, and the only time they bark really is if there's something outside, which is a good thing, right, Buttons? Now, being so tiny, of course, they don't tend to take up as much space, and you can go camping with them and take them in the car. Personally, I used to take my big King Shepherd with me everywhere, but that's me. I mean, you get a big King Shepherd and a Volkswagen Rabbit, it gets a little packed. But these guys are tiny. I mean, that's why they're also referred to as purse dogs, like a lot of small dogs, right? Silly girl. And there's a variety. There's medium hair and long hair. I haven't seen short or real short-haired ones unless they're cut, but it could be. Just because I haven't seen it doesn't mean it hasn't happened, right? Now, they don't shed a whole lot. Like, honestly, she's been all over the place. Not a single hair from her I can see. The cat sheds more than she does. And that means they're very good with people who have allergies. They're a good dog to have, because if they're not shedding so much, they're not producing the allergen. And they get along pretty well with other animals. Like, there's 2 cats running around here, and she's come into contact with a few of my dogs. And yeah, as long as you socialize them from early on, they're great. I mean, they're usually a one-person dog, like a lot of small dogs, but if you socialize them enough, it's not a problem. I mean, Buttons is a one-person dog, but she's not aggressive to other people, and she doesn't have that need to protect people. Like some little dogs, they're very protective of the human they love most, and some of them are just downright vicious. That's also something you gotta watch. It may seem cute because they're a little dog, but it's not. Break that habit right away, because you don't want a kid getting hurt, or another animal or something, right? And personally, you don't want to get bitten either. I mean, dogs have a relatively clean mouth, but you can still get a pretty nasty infection. Now, they are really lively, but the good thing is, them being so tiny and having short little legs, they don't need a whole lot of exercise. Like, you can take them around the block and they're probably good for the day. It's not like owning a giant shepherd or a husky or a lab or whatever, or a border collie especially. Those, so much energy. And you gotta walk them around like 30 blocks 3 times a day. Like my shepherd, I used to have to go run on the forest trails for a solid half hour, and then maybe he'd go take a break. Alright, pardon me, I'm just scrolling through my notes. I'm not super familiar with the breed. Now, there are some bad traits with Yorkies. And they're not horrible. They're nothing super serious. Now, they are very fragile. They are a little dog, obviously. If they're going to fall off a couch, they might get hurt. And I mean, it's obvious. They're tiny little dogs. And the housebreaking apparently is a huge problem. Like, I've read a few sites on Yorkies, and apparently the housebreaking is a huge problem. But there's got to be ways around it. You can try puppy pads and the scented spray, or it just takes work. They can develop a negative temperament, like I was saying before, like with being overprotective of food or toys or people, depending on if, like, you can baby them, but you can't worship the ground they walk on. Like, you gotta walk a fine line, really. You can treat them like your kid, but you also have to discipline them when they're misbehaving and correcting their behavior. And definitely socialize them as much as you can. Another thing you gotta watch for with them being really excitable is that they chase everything. They'll chase butterflies and other insects and run all over the place like little crazy people. You just gotta keep an eye on them. They tend to not like being leashed, but you can break that habit and then walk. Then they learn pretty quick. Alright, that is it for this REDofNEXpets episode. And that was Yorkshire Terriers. Thanks for watching. I will be coming out with a new video every couple days, I'm hoping. As long as my schedule allows for it. Alright, thanks for watching.